a recap, during our last game, there was a lot of planning and investigating on the goings on in Waterdeep, why everything seems to be tying in, what is the Stone of Galore, why Floon, who was meant to be Rainier, was taken, why would somebody purchase Cerise's pie shop, and basically intimidate Kag-Ro into this match to end his career. What is the point of all of this? So Marla and Drengarr visited the one Zentharim that they know for sure who they are, which is Yagra, who tends to hang at the Yawning Portal. They got information, a little bit, that said that one of the Zentharim for sure that they knew had a big hand in this plot was going to be at the Colosseum, a diplomat noble by the name of Seth. No last name was provided, just a description of someone very dressy, showy, basically competing against many nobles, so he would be somewhat difficult to spot, but you have a name to go with it. Flash to the morning, where Cerise finished the transaction, earning herself, after bargaining pretty hardly with the noblekin, to earn herself 1,300 gold for her pie shop, which as she departed heard that they were going to tear it down. To what purpose, again, you do not know. Now we start at the evening of that same night. We are at the very end of spring, entering into summer. You're just on the eve of green grass, and there is a high game to celebrate at the Colosseum. You've all been invited, and all of you have your seat. At the beginning, there's too much commotion to really be able to do much for anyone. Kag-Ro, you're not really in the ring for the first fights. Those are usually new faces. They're kind of like the warm-up matches that happen. Most people aren't that entertained. It's there to keep those who are already seated going, while people who arrive fashionably late make their entrance. Kag-Ro, Cerise, you're in the backstage of the Colosseum. And Kag-Ro, you're getting ready. Garth is there. You have at least 7 other wrestlers there. You know 4 of them that are present, and they're just getting ready, going over through their choreography. 3 of them you haven't seen before. You see snake tattoos on the neck of 2 of them, all with different name, as you can hear the announcer out there just switching between the 2 matches. The rest of you, I'd like to know how you decided to place yourself at the match. So those of you that decide to go. So we'll start with, let's go in reversed alphabetical. TeaLeaf.
Oh boy. Okay. TeaLeaf would probably. TeaLeaf is on edge. He does not. With all the going-ons, he does not expect this to be on the up and up, and has probably placed himself as close to the backstage entrance as he can, so that if anything goes south, he can go grab his bow, which he has stashed with Cerise.
Okay, so you're close to a door that would lead to the backstage.
Yeah, I'm in the audience, but I want a seat as close as possible to backstage.
Okay. Darius, what about you? Actually, reverse order would be Marla.
Okay. Marla would like to be, I think near the betting booth. Maybe Just inside an entrance nearest it?
Near the entrance, or the entrance of the stadium?
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be fairly easy to find. The only thing you'd find a bit distracting is there's a few merchant there that are peddling their goods, not to mention the bookies would be there. Betting is very, very common in such a place, so they do take bets in those positions.
Hence my position there.
Makes sense, makes sense. If that's one way they want to make money, it'd be a good venue. Drengarr, what about you?
I'm actually going to be somewhat near TeaLeaf. A bit back, but a little bit more higher up, behind, but still somewhat near, so as to be near an out.
Okay. And Darius.
All right, so quick question. How far is the drop down into the arena?
That's what I was going to ask. Good question.
That wall is pretty high. You'd be looking at about 20 feet drop.
Are there any surfaces a cat could climb down? Like one of those wall engravings to, like, here. It won't let me do the clicky thing.
You could use some of the statues surrounding the place. It's not exactly next to where you are. It wouldn't be an easy climb down. You have to say you don't have to jump the full 20 feet if you were to go down, because if you hang yourself by your hands, that's a 10-foot drop.
All right.
Are there any surfaces a fish could climb down? Not serious, but I would like to also be near TeaLeaf and Drengarr, preferably as close to the arena itself as possible, in case something goes really south and we need to jump in there and help our good buddy Kag-Ro.
So if I'm picturing this properly in my mind, is the three of you are not sitting together, but you're all in like an easy visual, even hearing shot of one another.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sounds good. All right. So is there anything anyone wants to do before the match progresses further?
So, would Cerise have been backstage the whole time, like while the first people who are performing are doing?
You would have been asked to be present in the backstage. You definitely have access. You have free comings and goings, but once they start to fight, you are usually requested to keep backstage because your services may be needed.
All right. So, what I'm trying to figure out is, would I have been able to, like, is it kind of like where, hang on. Is it kind of like in movies where one guy comes out one door and the other guy comes out another door? Or are they both coming out the same door? Is anyone really, like, looking at people before they go out the door? I guess basically what I'm trying to figure out is that if I cast a spell on Kag-Ro before he walks out, is someone going to notice and, like, be mad at me? Is what Cerise is trying to figure out.
You'd have to trick it to be subtle. Because picture this as the backstage being one very large room. There's a few sections for people to have privies, but privies in the time are not really roomy, so it's not somewhere you can go and hide. That might just be weird. But people are just getting ready in this big, almost gymnasium-sized room where they can practice, train a little bit. And there's these two doors that don't really have a door. It's just these big open arch that they have. There's, like, you'll see big boards that are accosted to the wall on each side of them so that they put them there so rain doesn't go in when the Colosseum is closed. But other than that, it's not that hard to access the place. The hallways that connect to this backstage, however, those are gated with metal doors. Those would lead to the offices and the areas where people do more in-depth training. That's where all the agents are. That's where offices would be. That's where the money is handled, so on and so forth. But right now they would be closed. In this big room, however, there's a lot of shuffling. People are going back and forth. The only person who pays a lot of attention to Kag-Ro would be Garth. But he also has to tend to his other, because Kag-Ro's not his sole client. So he has 4 others he's also taking care of. So there's back and forth in time you could use for that. But if you want to cast a spell on him before he goes, at that point you'll have to roll a Slay of Hand or a Stealth.
All right. Yeah, I think I'll try to position myself where Kag-Ro is between me and the sight line of as many people as possible. Since I can kind of technically hide as long as I'm near him, I'll try to use that to my advantage.
Okay. It's going to depend on the spell, but I could grant advantage, assuming it's not a spell that
I'm just doing guidance, basically. I mean, I'm making it sound like more of a big deal than it is. Like, all the other ones I could cast would be really obvious, like Shield has a shimmery thing around him and stuff, but I just want to give him a guidance right before he goes out there.
Okay. I can definitely give you an advantage on either Stealth or Slay of Hand. That would be
all right.
Your choice. So that people don't notice that what you're doing is a spell casting before you go. Do you warn Kag-Ro of this, or you just kind of be like, he'll deal with it?
I think before he goes out, I'll just be like, let me hug you, my friend, before you go. And then I'll hug him and, quietly be like, Yondalla guide you or whatever. So I guess my stealth and my sleight of hand are the same, so... Okay. It's not great, but...
Well, that's a 16, so that's good. That's plenty. So you do manage to place a guidance on him before he goes out. He's not the first to go out, but we'll know that's happening as he's heading out. You just need to... Okay, so he rolls a d4 as he does a check.
I have one more question before we begin.
Absolutely.
Is Cerise and our things going to be on one side or the other of the arena? And B, do we know? Would we know which?
Well, Cerise is in the back room, so you wouldn't be able to see her.
Okay.
You can't see the people that well backstage. I'm actually using the image to guide how the Colosseum would look. So it makes sense. There's a big graded area. You can sometimes see some activity in the back, but not much, just more shadow than anything else. Then you see them come out, and it's a big open arena.
Yeah. What I meant is, would there be any communication? Would we know which side of these 2 doors, like which door would be closest to Cerise? Because we might want to position ourselves closer to the one that will get us closer to Aiden.
You'd be closer to the one Kag-Ro's going to come out. Cerise is in the back, so you wouldn't be closer to Cerise at any given time necessarily, because at the back she can do as much back and forth as she wants.
Okay,
so she can be closer to one time, closer to the other. It's all one room to both doors.
Okay, so it doesn't matter. All right, that was all I was asking. Sorry.
Oh, okay. All right. So as the game goes on, is there something that you want to do to bide your time? The first match will easily last for almost an hour before it's even Kag-Ro's turn.
I'd like to keep an eye out for Seth.
To see if he comes in and places a bet. Is that it?
Yes.
I'm going to have you roll a perception.
That would be super easy if I had my character sheet open.
Indeed.
Does make it slightly more challenging when it's closed.
You said perception?
Yes.
Okay.
You also can roll both, and I'll do the results of the combination with an insight.
One of these things is more helpful than the other.
So you've got very good eyes, hearing, and such. But anyone who's lying can basically throw one over your head. No pun intended, little halfling.
They don't have to throw high.
Exactly. All right. So I'll go on with the description and then key in what you see with your high perception. So as the match goes on and the small fry, the early fights ebb, the place gets a little quieter. You'll see the announcer go in, the main arena will clear, and you'll hear the booming voice of a dwarf lady who's in the center, and she'll just keep on adding. It's like, oi, raise your hands for the gator and coin smasher, the one who will always make you bet wrong. And you'll see these two humans decked out, decorated, as they start their fight. The quiet of the arena will ebb, and there's an uproar of people just starting to scream loudly as they're cheering for the person they've either placed a bet on or they simply support. There's all matters in the Colosseum at this time. There's your commoners, there's your sailors, men, women, children, half-orcs, elves, dwarves, halflings, gnomes, all of them are there. So it's a very diverse crowd. But with your perception, as you're seeing things roll out, you start to notice, Maria, that some of the most decorated nobles don't join in the center of the fray. There seems to be these delegated area where they're congregating together. They seems to be in the top corners of both sides. And there's a mass of them. You'd say there's easily hundreds of people in both groups. And there's always a handful of them missing. Like they're going back and forth and switching. They have access to what seems to be a special door. You don't know where that leads. But they're disappearing and going. On some point, you notice someone who reminds you a bit of the description that Yagra had given you for the amount of ornate. And not only that, but you spot another familiar face in that same group. The couple that purchased the pie shop is also present in that same group, and it's the one closest to you in that corner. The match goes on, and as you're looking at them, you take a glance down, and your eyes just really narrow and eagle-eyed, and you see that it ends with the newcomer, the coin smasher, raising his hand in victory. And as he lifts his hand, some of its decorative garment kind of ebbs a little bit, and you spot the snake tattoo on his neck. And he just seems all smile, while the other one, just defeated, goes back in. Cerise, you see the two of them return, and Garth will kind of urge you to take care of one of them, who apparently seems to have just a minor sprain. Everything is choreographed to avoid massive injuries, but they all have their little boo-boo, if you want, when they're done a fight. Is there anything else during this that anyone wants to do? And if not, what do you do, Marla?
Right. I would like to make my way over to the secret door and try to follow them inside.
So are you trying to stealth over, or just walk there casually? Are you maybe trying to fit in?
So I'd walk over there casually, and then I would try to... I'm not really dressed to fit in with people dressed like this. But I would try to look like I was supposed to be there. Not really stealthy, but not drawing attention to myself either.
Okay. So let's say like a Coliseum employee or something like that?
Sure.
Then it would be a deception roll.
Not today.
Oof.
You'll have one of the noblekins in the area, and it's one that's actually shorter than you. It's a little gnome lady. Though shorter than you, her plumes at the top of her extremely mounted hair surpass you. She has these big blue plumes that are clearly a look at me accessory, wearing a very extravagant gown, and she'll just come at you, nose held up in the air, be like, "And where do you think you're going, my dear?"
I was hoping to find... I think they said his name was Seth, and he'd be available around here.
She narrows her eyes at you, and I don't think Seth would deal with the common rabble like you. You should just go back to your seat instead of trying to get access to privileges beyond yourself.
Common rabble. Rabble.
She looks you up and down and goes, "Yes, rabble."
Why don't we let Seth make that decision, not you? And I will also look her up and down.
I love it.
Well, we can only try. Oh, and here he is. And you see this man with what you could assume to be long blonde hair that is curled up tight, almost not cherub-like, but close to. And the man's wearing some fancy posh makeup. There's perfume wafting off of him as he walks. He's wearing this elegant, like a spring grass ensemble. And he looks at you. You're not even sure if his hair is real, if a lot of what he is real, but he's fitting right in the crowd. And he'll just quirk a brow your way as the little gnome lady says, "Oh, this wee thing is trying to convince us that you have access for her for the back." And he'll turn to you and just kind of quirk his eyebrow even higher, tilting his head a little bit, and he folds his hand kind of strictly as he's just looking down at you very snobbishly.
Yagra told me you might be interested in something I have.
He's gonna look to the side. Yogra, you say?
Indeed.
Fine, but not here. And he's gonna give a sideway looks, and you'll see the gnome lady kind of harumph, and as she turns around, you see kind of her dress butt pad kind of swish around as she waddles over back to her seat. And he kind of beckons you to go along, but you don't go in the secret door. He's bringing you to a different place. He's starting to lead the way back to where the collection booth for some of the bets are. It's noisy, but he seems to be doing this on purpose. But instead of going on that side, he goes on the opposite side of the area. It's pretty empty. The lineups, the lines don't go in that area, and actually the noise of people betting is kind of covering your conversation. Is there anything you wish to start with?
Oh, goodness. So what's your game here exactly?
What a silly question. Betting on the winner, of course.
Yeah, but you and I both know you only bet on a sure thing, right?
There is no such thing as a sure thing in the winner's circle. So what it is that you have that Yagra has conveyed?
Well, I'd be interested in partaking in your games, if you will. But I'm not so sure that I want to chance it.
So you lied to me. You have nothing I desire. You better be quick at telling me why I should stay, not just leave. And call the guards on you while I'm at it.
Tell what?
Tell the guards that to collect you while they're at it.
Are they in your pocket too?
He's gonna step up, and you'll just hear him say, "Insolence," as he walks away and start to wave in the air.
Can I trip him?
Yes, you can. I'm not sure how that mechanics work.
Oh, wait! I have a bag full of somethings. They're ball bearings, specifically designed to be thrown on the ground to trip people.
Okay. So you kind of throw a few of those in front of him.
Like 100 of them.
The whole thing?
Probably not the whole thing. Maybe like a good number that it looks like there's a lot.
Like a handful?
Yeah.
Sassiest halfling ever.
Hold on, looking up something because I know it's a DC. It's a DC 10. So you time your hand just right, toss them on the ground. Normally you would hear the tick-tick-tocks and the rolling of the little metal marbles onto the stone floor, but people are so loud in their betting, and nobody's really paying attention. Only a few kids notice this, and they're all very amused at seeing the posh man land. You'll see his wig land a good 5 feet behind him, revealing a mess of red hair that is starting to bald in the middle. Very insulting, huffing and puffing. He's going to try and regain his composure, scrambling to get his hair back. Seems to be his first priority.
I will approach him. Is he still down?
Not like flat down, but yes.
I will approach him and look him in the eye while pulling my dagger out, but in a way that no one other than the two of us could see, so it's like between our bodies.
Okay.
And I will...
I think you cut mute or just lost your push to talk.
Yeah.
I think the guards intercepted her.
Well, damn.
Definitely.
It's all up to me.
It's
Time to
over.
jump into the arena and kill the other opponent.
Good luck, Darius. I'll get the popcorn.
I already have some.
Dude, pass it over.
There she is.
Welcome back.
Marla, ooh.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
And can hear you now,
Okay.
just now.
All right.
We missed the entire thing you said to him once you pulled the dagger, though.
I didn't get past part. That's when I heard you guys tell me. Okay. Basically, I want to lean up close to his face and tell him that I know that he has thrown a fight. And if he doesn't stop it, then he'll have me and...
Sorry, you and...
my friends to deal with.
roll an intimidation. It's a very decisive roll. You're going to see him stare back at you, and there's going to be like a good 10 seconds of indecision. And it's going to feel like it's forever, where there's no movement. He's just almost entering a staring contest. And when he realizes how silly he looks right now, some rose is going to come to his cheeks, and he'll begrudgingly kind of just spit under his breath. Not being that scared of the dagger, actually, he'll keep on moving to get his wig, though there is absolutely no sign of him trying to run. He's just clearly wanting to save face, and he'll add, "Fine. I can tell you which to bet on. This way you can get your part of the win." Well, to help with the sound issues kind of skip over, I'm going to put a pause on that for a second. And I'm going to go down to Darius, Drengarr, and TeaLeaf, who are now watching the second fight. This one seems to be a three-women brawl. Surprisingly enough, there's this tiny gnome lady in there who is surprising everyone. She is taking these two massive women, one being an half-orc woman, the other is human, but you could swear she has some genes from elsewhere because she is massive. Her biceps are the size of most people's head. The tiny gnome is actually winning. She is very nimble. Her own muscular stature is fairly impressive. She just basically looked like a giant set of shoulders on tiny legs. But she's also quite fast, and she's managing to do these kind of jumps and acrobatics, and the crowd is going kind of wild on this very unusual battle. And while you're sitting, what are the three of you paying attention to? Or is there anything else you wish to be doing while you're watching the fight?
I'll let the others say first because I have an idea.
I'm wondering if there's Yagra somewhere in the crowd, if she's here or if she is not.
You're just scanning the crowd, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically specifically for Yagra, but also any other familiar faces.
Roll a perception. And as well an insight.
Wow. Oh, that's my luck.
That's a very odd roll. Too many people are cheering and jumping, and every time you think you spot something, there's somebody who waves a giant banner or flag or a very ornate kind of hat and blocks you right away. And you can't get a clear sight of it. Your eyes are not that acute, but you start to notice the movement of the crowd. Something just feels off. And it is in a section right across from where you guys are sitting, just a little less towards the back room, but more central and in the front. Everywhere is cheering, but there's a section that's in that zone that seems almost too calm for the size and the intensity of the event.
I'll stutter a little bit. Civilization. Too many people. And I'll actually walk towards Darius and TeaLeaf to try to let them know about this observation.
We kind of give them a direction to look in to see if they have better luck with their eyes.
Yeah, and also to inform them about the oddity.
Did we roll perception insights?
Yes.
When we all gather together like that, unless Green wanted to explain exactly what happened.
TeaLeaf would be the first then to give the glance over there under direction. With an insight of 10, you spot the same thing Drengarr spotted, so it's quite clear there. Your 12 perception allows you a little bit more, however, and you're noticing that there's like this row of people. They're not directly in the front as to not be seen. You'd say about a dozen row up this line, you'd say maybe 10 people, and they're all kind of dressed in these dark cloaks, while everyone in the stadium is very colorfully dressed. So between the people jumping and the colors being thrown, you can spot them every now and then, and it's just this row of black cloaks, and they have their hood on. Darius, with that kind of role, you're noticing that on top of the cloaks, your eyes just zone in. There's almost like a holy calling. There's something that is bugging your inner sense for peace and righteousness as you eye them. And as you spot one in the middle, the cloak just moves slightly as somebody in front of them kind of snags on them, and it reveals the pendant that they are wearing. A silvery pendant with a red tint, 3 triangles pointing towards one another. You've collected a similar, well, actually, Kag-Ro collected it, but you've all seen it, a similar signet ring from a lady in the sewers. From what you had gathered before, this is a symbol of the cult of Asmodeus, higher ranked. And your insight as you're looking on, you're noticing that some of them seem to be chanting. They are doing some form of ritual right here and there. To what intent, you don't know, but they are definitely up to no good.
By Persana. It's good you pointed this out, Drengarr. You see them over there doing chanting? Looks like
Which
the ones in the sewers. There, don't you... We've been sitting here too long. We have to get over there. Stop whatever it is they're doing. Follow me.
Yes. And I'll follow after Darius.
All right, so you're trying to switch side. This is a little bit of a long run because you can't just go across. You have to go to the complete backstage, find a back path to where the public privies would be, through a few food merchants at the area, and then go completely around to get there. This is going to take you an easy 20-25 minutes, maybe even more if you have to fight through the crowds. Kag-Ro and Cerise, is there anything special you wish to add as you're getting prepped? You are now 2 fights away from yours, Kag-Ro.
For the moment, you'll see that Kag-Ro is definitely fine-tuning his outfit and his entire costume. He seems to be donning an oversized red silk cloak, hooded cloak, where he drops it over his shoulders, and such. It's not usually part of his outfit, considering that you might have seen his fights before. Aside from that, he's mostly just sitting silently as if meditating on what is to come. You'll see that he seems to be staring at that door very intensely and thinking of things, possibly in depth.
All right. Cerise, you would be also kept a little bit busy. As the second fight ending, you'll see the 2 larger women come in, and one of them ended up with a nasty bleeding black eye, and the little gnome, who doesn't seem too bothered by it, has a bit of a broken hand. Now, you're not the only medic there. You may be the only clerical medic on scene, however. Clerics are actually not that common in the Forgotten Realms. Most people who do healings tend to do the general medicine type, so they use healers' kits, bandages, salves, and the likes. So your presence is very welcome, and they tend to go directly to you because this is more direct and a lot more effective than traditional medicine when they come in.
I actually am not going to be using spells on anybody unless someone needs a spare the dying.
Okay, it won't stop them from asking, though.
Oh, okay,
Seeing
that's fine.
your symbols and on it, it's there, and they'd be asking to see if it's a possibility. But if not, everybody else around that's medical people will then jump in and allow you to not be too swarmed and share their salves and bandages and other devices they use for medical purposes.
She's gonna feel like super guilty about it because, she is a cleric, but she's really just trying to hang on and make sure she doesn't need to use them all on Kag-Ro or the rest of her friends.
No, it makes sense. And no one has, if you haven't used any of the spells, no one has seen it. So they just can see you have these priestly values about you, and they're all hopeful. And it's just a little disappointing when they think that you aren't able to.
You can give them some pocket-sized pies. Those are healing.
Well, if they are good berry. You're like the grandmother who has candy in her pockets. Except
You
yours
hear the
is
first
spy,
one.
and if you fall down, they're not as good anymore. Back to Marla. So Seth so far has told you that he can assist you in figuring out who he thinks is very likely to win.
I told him all right. Who should I bet on?
Yes, well, the next fight is too early, but before last you should bet on the Hellhound. And after that, I can't reveal the name, it will blend up the surprise. But bet against the Unchained Devil. He will lose this game. It's been arranged, and no, it may come as a shock as we truly would not like for the masses to know, but a lot of these games are rigged. That's normal in the field.
How'd you arrange this one? I hear the Unchained Devil doesn't like to die.
They
To
don't.
lose, sorry.
He narrows his eyes again. You seem to know a lot more than you lead on.
I'm not your average Joe Schmo.
Who do you work for?
A shared acquaintance.
You're not of the Snake Clan.
No. But I'd work with them if it was in my favor.
Then hopeful, is that it?
Did he ask if I was a hopeful?
Yes.
Marla kind of shrugs and is like, yeah, I guess.
Roll a deception. Roll an insight. As he looks at you for a moment, he answers, and you realize a telltale sign of him placing himself to tell you a fib. Then he starts to add, all right, perhaps we can put you to the test. We have a troop. Enemies here. We're setting this to gather money to take them out. The Yellow-Eyed Clan. The Xanadars. We're going to take them out tonight. We know who their leader is. Just need to confirm the place. Go around. You want to join? Bring me some useful information.
And that was all a lie?
Yes. Not every single piece of it is a lie, but this is clearly he's sending you on a goose chase on something that's not a concern.
Right. So I'm preparing to get away. Has he stood up to his full height yet?
Yes, at this point, he's stand up. He's dusting himself. He is trying with eager fervor to fix his hair.
Darn, I wanted to punch him in the face. I can't reach, so I won't do that. But can I take his wig with me, or is it solidly in his hands?
Well, it's in his hands. You could try and snatch it. That's a sleight of hand.
I will try to do that as I walk away, and I won't look back if I fail or succeed. Sorry, I pressed it twice.
That's okay. With that, it's almost as if he wasn't holding it, and as you're snatching this and taking off, you're basically able to easily squeeze through people, which he can't, and he clearly is too indignant. You just see him angrily shake his fist in the air, calling you all sort of sniveling little brat, you useless little piece of lying halfling, and he just turns around and takes his anger out on this poor old man and steals
Aww.
his hat and puts it over his head, and he storms off.
Poor old guy. But am I in a place where there would be horses, or are we in like a relatively clean, animal-free place?
There might be horses, but they would be outside the Colosseum. You'd have to completely step out. It's a very, very large place, so it would be a while to get to it.
Okay, I guess that's not worth it. But for now, I guess I will tuck this ugly wig in a pocket somewhere and proceed inside. But I'd like to make my way down as far as I can get towards the entrance where Kag-Ro and Cerise would be.
All right, so you're trying to get to the backstage. That is difficult. It is very guarded. So you'd have to find a way to slip through, or find a good reason why they should let you in.
I will try to slip through stealthily, but if that doesn't work, I will just tell them that I have an important message for Kag-Ro, which is not wrong.
Okay. You can roll both a stealth and a thieves tool because the door is locked, or you can go straight for the lie. In this case, just roll a deception. Roll your thieves tools. You're able to pass and use your thieves tools very quietly to the service store in the back. This is where they bring in water, extra cloth, and so on for the healers. There's a few white coats in the area in multiple sizes for the people who are called in if there is ever an emergency. So you'd have an easy disguise for you to reach the back. So those who are called in with medical, that are apprentices or so on and so forth. So if somebody gets really badly hurt during one of those matches, they usually call on for medical reinforcement. That's
This
where you're
feels
kind of
like
in.
terrible sitcom, but I'm gonna take it.
It kind of is. But hey, you have a puff wig in your bag right now, so you know.
I might as well. Well, I won't put that on because it's probably terrible looking. And I will proceed inside. Do I remember the name of the guy Kag-Ro is supposed to fight? Or did Kag-Ro give us the name of the guy he's supposed to fight?
No, he doesn't know it himself.
Okay. Can I hear anyone talking about it inside as I make my way through?
They're more focused on the fight ahead, so unless Cerise and Kag-Ro themselves are talking about it, you wouldn't hear anything. There's two of the fighters that are closer to the further door, the exit door to the arena itself. They seem to be in a whispering discussion together, however. You're going to notice One of them is lizard folk that is a little bit scarred. The other one is just this burly man that's dressed in like some form of very, very tacky, revealing pirate costume.
Can I listen in on them and hear what they might be saying?
That's a perception check. That's sufficient. As you're listening to a conversation, you hear them whisper on, and they keep on going. It's like they'll never expect the great snake there. He'll take them by surprise. Puny little thing, really. Good distraction, too. Think they have a head on reclaiming the stone. Can't believe the yellow-eyed stole it from us. We stole it from them first. That's our ticket to wealthy life. We'd take over Waterdeep. No problem. That's over 1 million coins.
That does sound like a nice price. Is there anyone in here who looks like they might be the Great Snake?
No.
All right, in that case, I will make my way over to Kag-Ro and Cerise and just say, hey, what's up?
Cerise Marla just goes to you and addresses you.
Oh, I thought she said Kag-Ro and Cerise. Sorry.
I did.
Or Cerise will say, I'm just super nervous waiting for this to happen. What are you doing back here?
You know, things. I do know for sure that they are definitely trying to make a lot of money off of this. And you don't happen to know who the Great Snake might be, do you?
The Great Snake? Have I heard anyone mention that name?
Kag-Ro?
No,
He's dead,
I
Jim.
know nothing about any great snakes. I know that it is probably a rookie of some sort. But that does not mean that it is not a challenge. And then he will continue to stare at the door.
Yeah, but I kind of needed to know who he was.
I mean, I can try to do a history check, but I don't. I feel like this is this is someone that no
I
one's
don't
ever
think
heard
you
of.
would know it if you don't know it. So now I just kind of want to listen in on everyone's conversations and try to figure out who it is.
Okay, so you want to go back to the two and listen into their conversation some more? Well, technically,
Them
you
and
wouldn't.
anyone else, but
At this point, you hear outside the Slithing Victor and the Little Giant are announced. So you can't really listen into that conversation anymore. The lizard folk person is stepping out along with the Little Giant, which is someone that Kag-Ro, you know. It's a fairly very big human that definitely is not as tall as you, but reaches easily to 7 feet tall, which is very rare for a human being. And they are the third round. From what you've seen, you already know that in this round, your friend, the little giant, well, friend, more like a colleague, is going to lose this match according to the setup. But it's not going to be a massive loss or anything. It's standard. You've thrown matches like that as well for bit of extra income. As for other conversations, most of them are just revolving about getting ready. The opponent of Kag-Ro is simply not in the room.
Is there anywhere else that they might keep an opponent if they wanted to keep him secret, Kag-Ro?
Is there a hidden chamber of some sort that they usually do that sort of thing?
The only thing you can think of is they could be in the offices and just haven't reached the area. There is access on both sides. You only have had access to one side, but you don't have the key once it's locked. Only Garth does. And you just haven't seen them come out. That's one option. If not, they could come in the same way Marla has. And they just haven't reached it and waiting for their timing. But you have no idea what this person's going to look like.
They could be potentially hiding in the office or on the other side of the door, but I do not know. It seems that they want to make quite the show of this. I was given the impression when we spoke to them.
Well, you can't prepare if you don't know what to prepare for, right?
Yes, it is also possible that they suspect something, but we would not know. I imagine we should just be ready.
I suppose so. Yeah, that's all I've got until the guy shows up, I guess.
Meanwhile, we have our three musketeers that have gone around. At this point, you are nearing the cloaked figures. What are you intending to do?
Quick question. Would they have let
Yes.
me bring my armor in here?
They would not actually be keen to people walking in armor if it's very visible. You would have had to camouflage it somewhere or another. Is that something you're able to do? Because I think yours is pretty heavy.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, you could have had it in your bag. That's always an option.
Yeah, I'll say that I brought it but don't have it on. Either way, gonna go without it for this then. Well, I do believe we have a plan, yes?
Not quite. So to go over it again, the plan is to cause a ruckus and get time for you to deliver the guard, correct?
Very well.
I'm
Yes.
asking, I'm not making a demand. Is that what your plan was?
It matters not who does what, so long as you think you can hold them, else keep one of them from at least one from escaping.
Well, then perhaps you should be the one to instigate the. I am quick. I am not strong. I would not be able to get in someone's way.
Very well. If you're fast, then perhaps you should be the one to alert the guard.
Perhaps.
You needn't. They needn't believe you. Believe exactly what's going on. They need only know that there's a bloody brawl going on. Embellish it as much as you can.
Understood. Do either of you think you could, while the brawl is happening, snag one of those pendants you talked about?
Hopefully.
Maybe.
Hopefully we'll be able to do it alongside its wearer.
Fair enough. So are we doing this now?
I will give you a few minutes to get out of here.
Understood. Good luck.
And you.
Indeed.
And with that, I'm going to look around for the nearest clump of guards and make my way over to them.
They're not hard to find. You find them in most entrances, most doorways. There are some in the front, but you'd have trouble passing it without heading towards the brawl you're attempting to cause. I'll have you do a dexterity check to see how quickly you can get to them.
Dex or check or save?
No, it's dex. You do acrobatics as well. It's accepted.
All right.
Because it is basically your skill at squirming through the crowd. So yes, you're able to basically slither past through, and you find a group of City Watch. They seem to be very enthralled in the match as it's going on. If you take a quick look back, you're going to see it looks like the Lizard Man is taking a bit of a beating. He's being picked up and tossed onto the ground. The floor is kind of adjusted whenever that's a wrestling match, so it's a little springy, so it doesn't hurt them that much when they land. People don't really realize that, however. So he just looks like he's getting tossed, but then he gets back up and turns the fight over as he takes the Lizard Man into a headlock. So what do you say to the guards? And on Darius's side, and Drengarr, do you guys actually start a brawl, or is it a fictitious brawl that you are trying to hint?
I was gonna try and just sucker punch the nearest one of the cultists.
Okay. Let me see how I'm gonna do this. So I guess we'll be do your first hit, and then roll initiative.
Ballroom Blitz.
That's definitely a hit.
Oh my god.
So that's a pretty good soccer punch as you give probably the classic tap on the shoulder punch as they turn around. And you're just going to see this bearded man get really wide-eyed and clearly was not expecting it. But as they quickly tries to recover, he just slurs something in a dark language, and you just hear "Shna," and all 5 of the other ones turn around. There's a bit of a gleam to them. You spot 3 humans, a tiefling, and an elf. And they're just getting ready on their way to you. But all of them are starting to do hand motion, signaling that all of them are magically proficient. Roll initiative. T, you'll also have to roll.
It's not letting me.
You gotta click on your token.
Fuck, I'm an idiot. There we go.
Consistent cultists. All right, T. You're very quick. You're able to squirm through things. So, almost immediately as the brawl erupts, you've reached the city guards, and they turn their attention to you, kind of lazily, as if you're somewhat bothering them at the time. How do you address them?
T is first going to act all exasperated and panicked and exhausted, like he had to fight through a lot more than he actually did to get here. There are guards, there are people in black cloaks who look to be a danger. They came with weapons and he looks back towards the brawl that's starting, and then kind of back to the guards with this wide-eyed stare of, oh shit, it's actually happening.
You'll hear the guards actually kind of give a, and it's like, all right, we're gonna jump in. Don't meddle, we don't need another body. You stay here. And one of the guards, almost in a nearly racist, not the right type at all, will look at you very straight in the eyes and just point the finger down and be like, stay, and then heads off down.
TeaLeaf kind of snarls behind the guard's back.
All right, and now you've set the watch down, they're gonna really start to head towards that brawl. You hear gasps erupting from the crowd as a few of the bystanders are pulling away. You'll see moms grab their kids and start to hide them into their coat and whatever they have that they can use. But all of them are kind of looking. There's actually even a few people that are cheering because it's like, hey, 2 fight for the price of 1. Darius, you've done your first punch. You're able to go again.
Alright, so it seems like they were about to start casting spells, you said, right?
Yes.
How is the one I've hit? How is he looking?
Pretty bad black eye. Bit of a nosebleed. You say you've heard it quite a bit.
Alright, I'll go for another punch on him. This is a weird question, but can I cast Smite on my fist?
On your fist? Oh, yeah, because you're trying to... Yes, you can.
Alright, just need to make sure of that.
That is a hit.
And... sorry, let me just look at it again. I forgot exactly what it is.
I'm assuming you're not going for a lethal.
If I can make it non-lethal, then yes.
Well, punching is not very deadly.
Yeah.
But with that, you see that the injury you cause with the inner divine energy that you feel, just almost like a divine vengeance against these dark being, you just see your second punch as you hit straight in the center face. Just 2 eyes roll back. You see they're white, and he just plops in his seat, upside down, feet up. You hear around you loud mixtures of little gasps, scared little screams, and at the same time, a few people are like, yeah, you get him! And a few ooh of people who are impressed. So it's a very odd mix all around, added to the other cheering for the fight that keeps on going on. What did you have in mind, T?
I wanted to slip back through the crowd and also slip my my daggers into the hands of Darius and then slip back to where I'm supposed to be standing so the guards don't get suspicious.
You will not have the movement to do so.
If I do it with feline agility,
It allows you to have what?
60
Double
for one
movement?
turn, and then I have to go back to 0. For another turn, I have to stand still the following turn.
You'd have enough movement to make it to Darius, Drengarr, but not back. So you'll have to wait for your turn to return. If that makes sense.
All right, well then, can I do that?
Yes, you're giving your dagger to?
I have all 3 of mine on me. I have 2 daggers and a skinning. I'm going to give the 2 daggers to Darius and Drengarr each and keep the skinning knife for myself.
Okay. So Darius, as you're throwing your punch, you feel the dagger, so that's how we can do it retroactively, being placed into your belt. Drengarr can just be handed as this is ongoing. Darius, was there anything else you wish to do on your turn now that you have knocked one of them out?
No, that's all I had planned for now. Actually, yeah, no, wait, no. Is it fine if I sort?
It's what?
Is it fine if I grab hold of the one I just knocked out and sort of pull him back my way?
Yeah, I'll allow it. Like before he fell down, instead of toppling over in his chair, you're kind of grabbing him and holding him standing up.
I just kind of want to pull him back into my, the area behind him, away from the other cultists. If they do decide to run, he's farther away from them.
Okay, so kind of like a hostage thing?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, no one has noticed anybody but you, so all 5 cultists are gonna aim in your direction. And all of them will use the exact same spell.
Oh my god.
Since I'm unarmored, one of them misses.
Well, 2 of them misses.
You didn't wear your armor to this?
Couldn't.
Nope.
Yeah.
This is a civilian thing. In the city, people can't really wear their armor walking around the streets. Cerise would be permitted for the medical purpose of, because of the fighters in the back can get kind of rattled and such. Kag-Ro is not wearing his armor. He's wearing his fighting costume.
Wait, this is
He
awkward.
might be able to hide a simple leather armor underneath. I don't know about Drengarr. Kind of what you have.
My armor is leather armor, but it's basically just my tribal clothing. I don't have other clothing than this. It's awkward otherwise.
Yeah.
Oh wait,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, and Marla has hers under their clothes. So really, Darius is at disadvantage here. Cerise could have been if she was something other than a healer in this one. If she has a shield, however, that is not something you'd be able to have on you. You can have it again in your backpack for things that are simple to carry. So on this, Darius, you take 3 hits, one of them being a critical. You'll see the last one at the end as it's a younger female elf. They all look usually young, but this one looks much younger. You'd give it not even in full adulthood. As she tries to send her firebolt, instead it kind of incinerate a bit the tip of her fingers, and she shakes it in pain. And in a moment of fright, she just actually digs her cloak a little bit deeper over her eyes, and she bolts. She goes for it. So she starts to head away and disappears into the crowd. So that one is gone. Ooh,
You jinxed it.
that is 26 fire damage onto Darius.
Oh, I'm unconscious. Barely, but I am unconscious.
So you topple over. One that you had holding on. Actually, you'll see some of its cloak burn a bit, and it just topples on top of you. You're kind of stuck in chairs, and people are actually looking a lot more scared. Nobody's going ooh or ah or yay at people throwing fireballs. That's very different. You'll even hear some of the City Watch yell something about unregistered mages, unregistered spellcasters. And additional City Watch from the sides will start to join in. There's at least a good 20 City Watch going on there. It's not stopping the fight, however. The event still keeps on going. It hasn't gone completely out of hand at this point. It's just the City Watch. Some of them are going to stop the people. The others are actually trying to back away civilians to get them out of the range of what is going on.
Are we hearing this chaos from inside the place?
No, it's far too loud in the Coliseum. Okay. Too many people cheering, the fight going on, the commentator adding to this. It could just sound like special effects. So, Darius. Not Darius, Drengarr. It's your go.
Alright, so first thing first, healing word on my good friend Darius.
Thank you.
Yep. Next, I will... You know what? Screw it. Next, I'm going to wild shape into a constrictor snake.
Okay.
And that'll be my turn.
All right. So you have this big snake in the middle. You'll notice that the cultists are reacting a few ways as they're seeing the City Watch approach. I'm actually gonna do a roll against myself here as they arrive. City Watch versus cultists. The cultists that are standing up are going to aim for a bolt. One of them will give Drengarr an opportunity attack should you wish to take it.
Yep.
Okay, so do your attack. The others vanish into the crowd.
I'm guessing that doesn't work.
It's insufficient. They just make it past. One of them will try to, let's see how their aim is. Going with a luck one. They're gonna try to actually kill the cultist that was downed as they're departing, but they will miss and just set one of the seat on fire. You'll hear them curse or say something in an infernal before disappearing in the crowd as the watch of several of them will take off and try to give them chase. As all others will arrive, they will point their weapon in your direction, Drengarr, in Darius's direction as he's waking, and another one will start to apprehend the cultist that's unconscious, and they will inform you. You're all under arrest. Change back. TeaLeaf, roll stealth. You as well, kitty cat. Don't think I didn't see you're joining in the fray.
And Drengarr will sift.
You're no longer in initiative. The fight behind you is ending. Hellhound and is being called to face its opponent as the fight before Kag-Ro's fight in the center ring. Darius, Drengarr, and TeaLeaf, how are you reacting in the face of these city watch that are attempting to apprehend you?
Darius will, shakily and as best he can, climb back to his feet while keeping his hands up. And I'll just say to them, I will not resist, but I would have you know that I initiated this only because I witnessed them, these cultists of Asmodeus, chanting some sort of ritual. I noticed their symbols. Obviously, they were up to no good, following the dark gods.
A wave of hurrays kind of swallows what you're telling the guards. You'll see that the majority of them are just kind of leaning forward and are going like, "What?" But the one that is holding the cultist prisoners will give you a look, kind of nod and add, "You're still under arrest. Follow me. You can plead your case in the office." And on that, all three of you are being escorted to the nearest City Watch post. We'll return to you after the fight. As you are escorted out, the crowds are being calmed by the remaining City Watch. There are several of them. The seat that's on fire is doused rather quickly. People are recovering, and the game continues. Kag-Ro, your fight is coming up. Garth is pacing nervously around you to the point where you think he may actually be making a crease in the floor. And you hear a crease, a loud wince. One of the door, not the passage you usually take to train, opens, and you see this massive tiefling come in, dressed in what is clearly snakeskin, all red and black from head to toe. He has this very taxidermied snake tail covering his, and this helm that seems to be the skull of what might have been a very large python. Python don't actually have the teeth like that, but teeth were kind of placed into it to add to the intimidating levels. Its horns are kind of poking through the eyes of the snake skull. And he just gives you a look and lifts his head, squares his shoulders as if you're nothing.
Kag-Ro looks up to him for a moment and then looks back to the door and stands up himself. After you.
That will be for the rest of your career. After me, indeed.
Save it for the ring, rookie. It's not very entertaining to threaten me back here. Wait till the crowds can see it. That's your first lesson.
The crowd stalls a little bit outside. The previous contestants are returning in. There seems to be no grievous injury, just a few strains and bruises. And you start to hear complete silence as the dwarven announcers steps back into the ring. Why now, the match you've all been waiting for. The favorite. The fans. You've been gathering. You've been betting. It's the one. The only. The undefeatable. The unbreakable. The Unchained Devil. And the crowd goes what? Cheers comes from everywhere. Facing off with the mystery opponent of the Great Red Snake. And within the yay, half of the crowd starts to loudly boo. There's even some rotten fruit being thrown into the arena as you see the tiefling comes out, kind of giving attitude to all of the crowd.
Marla is attempting to sabotage him before he leaves. I don't know what.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed.
That's okay. I just wanted to try to steal, like, his weapon, or, like, I don't know, pull his pants down around his ankles so he falls on his face.
Cerise wants to give him a dirty look that's as intimidating as she can do, which probably isn't much. I'm going to actually roll intimidation for that and laugh at the results, I'm sure.
Go ahead. That's pretty good. And Marla, you can do a sleight of hand and see what you come up with. Pulling down his pants probably wouldn't happen.
Are you sure?
Yep. You do realize he doesn't have much of a weapon. What he does have, though, is that you realize there's like a secret pocket where the tail is sewn in. And you find a crinkled piece of paper. There's a note in there and instructions.
Ooh.
What do the instructions say?
The piece of paper actually has a schedule for the next fight, and there's an amount to be won. This is what is necessary to regain the Stone of Galore. There's a certain amount on that. The goal is written, like basically goal, 2 dots, Stone of Galore. And they have the amounts. And there's the address of Cerise's pie shop on there. It basically says vault for your pie shop. You have no idea what that leads to. So there's future fights there to earn money. And what they are trying to build is a networking of spies. You can realize some of the encoding frequently used in the thieves' networking. So they are trying to obtain some information, and it is getting very dire in how badly they want it. And they clearly need some funding for this endeavor. Why they want this thing so bad, you do not know. But you have several schedules, and there's a few additional addresses for possible meetings, maybe places to hit, you don't know. They're just these random addresses that are listed at the bottom of the paper. You can see 3 of them. You're not sure what else that means. As he gets out, he gives a look, and he kind of catches Cerise's eyes. And Cerise, you're so mad at him that you don't even notice that even Yondalla is able to channel through this. You have a little bit of a gleam in the eyes as you're kind of looking his way. And he has this kind of thing where he looks oddly at you like you're nothing and has a double take moment, and you see his eyes go wide. And instead of stepping out with this big confidence, he kind of stumbles a bit on his first step out. And you've unsettled him a little bit. I'll allow for his first attack against Kag-Ro to be done at a disadvantage. Okay. Apologies, you don't always have to wait for my little Discord circle to go because I press my button a little too hard so it stays stuck. Kag-Ro, roll initiative.
No.
Begin. Oh,
No.
okay.
As Kag-Ro is exiting the thing before he goes out into the crowd for his introduction, he's going to cast heroism on himself while obscuring his mouth and his hands with his cloak. Because it's a hooded cloak.
Sleight of hand.
Oh, and yeah, this would have been when she gave you the guidance too, so.
Ooh. So as you're doing this and you're stepping out, trying to use your cloak as a coverage for hiding your movements, there's a gasp of wind that passes by and opens the front. You'll see the announcer give you a little bit of a look, and she'll make a gesture to the side. It's something they've done on more than one occasion when they actually have a suspect of cheating. They do that in several sports. Before you start, she comes for the announcement. An assistant comes and joins you. The assistant starts to do some gesturing and spells, casts Dispel. All advantages for both guidance and heroism are removed. It is also cast on your opponent. That doesn't remove his disadvantage. This is psychological. And the fight begins.
Give her my dirty look too. That one's fine.
Rules don't apply to halflings.
I apologize, I never found a really good icon, so I'm using a snake icon for the person. Kag-Ro, roll your initiative, please. You are able to go first. Being fan favorite and everything, he seems to be welcoming it, and in your choreography you were supposed to go first. Of course, none of the hits you were supposed to land were to be true. You do have access to your flail for favor for the first shot only. And you are expected, as most fight, to remove weapons, as weapons in wrestling are not permitted.
So I can do what with my flail?
One attack. Assuming you are defeating the rules. If not, you can just follow the choreography. Or basically throw the fight.
Alright, well then when he enters, he throws his cloak off in a very glorious way, revealing his chains and the armor that you already said I don't have, but I told you I do have a bunch of times. So yes, he will do that. And then he will take his chain and he will throw it at this creature with two hands.
No, you can have your armor. Roll your attack. And it misses. So you see him dodge. He'll give you a rather quizzical look as he does. And
Sorry, he was doing a performance to see if he could make it look like he did it on purpose.
With an 11, it's enough to leave him unsure. And it's not that convincing yet, though the crowd is just biting into it. And it's sufficient for none of the organizers to step in and stop whatever is happening. So you're able to do the toss of your flail. You'll see he kind of dodges it, but barely, and he just watches. You see his eyes really go wide as the flail passes by. He seems to be watching it in slow motion. And then you're able to toss the flail on the side, and it becomes a full duel of pure brawn.
Then Kag-Ro looks at him and he says, "Lesson 2, rookie. Make a show of it."
That's the plan. And he basically starts to do almost like a dance type of move as he's trying to imitate the snake-like thing. And he goes forward and tries to push you with both hands. Clearly, that guy does not have the same experience. There's even a few people in the crowds that laughed at the beginning because he kind of tries to look like a striking boa with both hands. It looks very tacky. And he has this advantage. You're able to dodge his strike very, very easily. And you go next.
As he moves to swing, to do the push, Kag-Ro will move as if to, and do a grapple on his arm to spin him around.
You have him grappled. You're trying to spin him around?
He spins him around and vices his shoulder behind his arm behind his shoulder, like sort of back behind his thing, and he whispers in his ear, "Lesson 3, rookie. Make sure that you know your opponent."
I watched too much wrestling, I think, as a kid. I was picturing you grabbing him and basically doing the full on spinning him around like you're spinning in circle, and just was wondering where it was ending. So I see you have him spun so that his back is against your front and you're whispering in his ears.
With his arm is twisted behind him, and he's whispering in his ears, almost in a very intimidating thing. You also, I don't know if this guy has watched his fights before, but he might also notice that it's a dead serious speech that he's giving him.
You will regret this betrayal. And he will try to squirm to get out of this grip once more. And manages to do so. He'll face you, and you're going to see that he starts to seethe as he's just glaring at you. It still won't be easy. Having fight these organized matched. But this one, I'll simply kill you.
All right. Then he'll look at him, and he'll look at him with a dead serious look in his eye, and he will say, in his Unchained Double voice, "If this is what you intend, then may the hells take you where you came from." And he'll make sure the crowd hears that as he casts Vicious Mockery on him.
Is that a resist?
Yep.
Oh, wisdom. Jeez. Go figure. So he doesn't seem to be very impressed by that. He says, "Please, these kinds of antics won't do anything." And he's going to charge forward. And this time he's kind of abandoning a little bit the snake-like. The crowd is starting to get a little bit on edge as the fighting style is changing. They're seeing things they haven't seen before in these kind of wrestling matches. I don't think 11 hits you even without armor. No, you have your armor. You have 15, right? For your AC?
That is correct.
So misses you, and you'll just see he kind of snags onto one of your buckle, doesn't get to you. You're able to even dodge a big part of that. Then you get the next go.
He goes for a throw, so he tries to grapple him and slam him hard against the wall.
Well, you're too far for the wall to do that, but you could do that on the floor. Yeah, as you try to pick him up, he'll actually use his tail to kind of slap your hands away, and it's like, that's not gonna work. I'll get you first. I'll skewer you if I have to. And he's gonna actually try to bull charge you. To no avail. Your turn.
He grapples his tail.
Ooh. As you do so, you actually hear a little. Ah!
And he's going to start a spinning throw.
How am I gonna do this? Just do an unarmed attack. I'm gonna still use his ace. I'm gonna let him do a dexterity saving throw on it. Nice. So you're able to put a lot of velocity in that throw. You're able to take steps sideways to get closer to the wall as you're doing one circle, two circle around you, and you let him go as you get close to the walls. He ends up not only in the wall, but face first in the foot of one of those statues there, and just right in the eye socket. And he's going to recoil back. His red skin starts to darken on one side of his face, and you can see the eyelid gets all puffy. He's very mad. And he's going to charge forward and try to lift you up. You have to do a strength saving throw. Somehow he manages to. Your weight is quite big, but his very adrenaline allows him to lift you up, and he just tossles you down onto the floor for his regular unarmed attack. Doing 9 damage to you. You're both quite hurt. The floor being as it is, you are prone when you start your turn. It takes half of your movement to get up.
Oh, yeah, right. Sorry. So Kag-Ro tenses up his muscles to resist as he tosses him.
Roll your d12. All right, you've fallen more than once in your life. You know exactly how to place your body. And all the damages is concentrated on your arms and legs. Your face remains untouched, which makes it easier for you to keep focus. Looking at you, the crowd is at the edge of their seats. You both look equally banged up. And it's your turn.
My flail is not within reach.
No, because you used half your movement speed to get up.
Right, so he goes for a tackle lift.
Okay. Do it. Just don't. Okay. So you lift him up. Just do the damage of an unharmed attack. You don't have to roll the attack too.
He holds him up to the crowds, and he holds it up above his head, and he says, "This is what they sinned, the Unchained Devil! This pathetic excuse, better for a handbag!"
The crowd just roars, "Finish him, finish him." They start to chant.
Then he does his signature move, and he yells out to them, says, "The double spin!" And he starts picking him up and swinging him around by his feet. And then as he's swinging him around, he jumps up and just like sort of picks up his entire feet and just slams him on the ground like the Hulk slams Loki in that movie, and just BAM on the ground. But he's not trying to kill him, just trying to make sure he's real unconscious.
As he lands on the ground, you see him squirm for a moment. The dwarven lady comes to you, grabs your hand, and brings you to the ground kneeling. And as he tries to squirm, you bang the ground. 1, 2, last bang, and he stops moving, becoming unconscious. 3, we have our victor! And she stands, kind of lets go of your hand because she can't really hold it up, but encourages you to do so, and you're able to do your victor walk in the Colosseum as the crowds all stand throwing flowers. Everybody's really screaming in joy. You can roll a perception, Kag-Ro. From where Marla and Cerise are, however, you see Garth is just turning pale and just looking out with big eyes. Some of the remaining fighters that had got injured, the ones with the snake tattoo on their neck, will go for the exit, and they're going to give Garth a dirty look on the way out. Well, lad, you'll pay for that, you know.
As the crowd is cheering, Kag-Ro will try to quiet them down for a moment.
By the way, with your perception, you notice that one of the group of nobles doesn't seem very cheery. Several of them are just glaring your way. Several of them simply leaving through their secret doors. But they're not joining in the chant and all this intensity that the crowd is providing. Yes, one with red hair and a bad hat.
Did you bet on me, Marla? You should have bet on me.
I didn't place a bet, but I thought about it real hard.
Is he able to quiet the crowd down?
It takes a minute, but you're able to start quieting the crowd, though you'll see that the announcer looks a little curious, though she's smiling at this point, thinking it might be a cool speech.
So once the crowd is quieted down, Kag-Ro looks up to them and says, "This battle, this fight, this was more than just any fight. This rookie, I believe that he could have won, but the truth of the matter is, none can stand against the Unchained Devil. But the Untamed Devil is done." And he says, "I have greater things to fight." And his voice switches over to Kag-Ro and so there are great evils in this world, ones that have destroyed innocence across the land. And like the heroes of old, I am leaving this arena to become a true hero, not just to the people, but to the world, and protect it from the darkness. And he says, and then he pulls out the Asmodeus amulet, and he says, "This symbol here, if you can see it, this is Asmodeus. They are in your ranks. They are watching you. Do not trust them. But know that I, Kag-Ro, and those who are with me will end this threat." And then he drops the amulet and just walks away.
You notice that the crowd at first is very silent. They're very stunned as you do this. Everybody's kind of questioning themselves and their motives. And you just hear, like, this one random fan that's always there when everybody's quiet and stands up, and you just hear, "We love you, Unchained!" And then the crowd starts to go in little by little, like a snowball effect, and everybody starts to cheer. They're actually not mad or sad. It's almost as if they're just waiting to see what you'll do as an adventurer. And that's the last thing you hear as you step out of the rink.
As he walks in, he puts his hand on Garth's shoulder. I am sorry, old friend. You should go into hiding for some time. We will take care of the Asmodeus cultists and these Zentarum thugs.
You abandoned me, Kag-Ro. Me and my family. By the way, you are aware that Garth does not have one of those.
And then he looks at him one more time and he says, You know you don't have a family. Did you at least place a bet on me?
Oh my god, I betted on the other guy. I'm broke too? And at this point, he just sits on the ground.
Then Kag-Ro will...
doesn't lose, you dum-dum.
And then Kag-Ro just gives him a gold coin. He says, Here, have a drink on me. Or at least bet it. You're real good with that. I'm sure you'll be wealthy again in no time. But like I said, it's best that you go into hiding. They will come for you, and they will not do it peacefully. And then he's going to go back to his friends and say, Cerise, I could use at least some help. You got one good strike on me before I finished that cretin.
All right. So, where is my thing? Oof.
That's okay, that basically fixes me completely.
Wait, does that put my... Jake, do you remember, does that have the added thing already? Yeah, it does. Crap. Okay.
It doesn't matter, it gives me back to full health.
Oh.
I
Alright,
have
yeah.
exactly 10 health, which is my maximum health is 15.
Oh, dear. Why were you a gladiator again? I'm kind of glad you're not.
You're so
It's-
squishy.
It's a performance.
True,
thought-
you're not supposed to actually be getting hit.
Remember that thing about the bouncy mat?
You have like 2 more hit points than Cerise does, and she is 3.5 feet tall.
You have 1 more than I do. And I'm not meant for combat in the slightest.
Well, I do have the thing that shrugs off damage.
Yeah, that's what I figure is like saving your butt.
Well, it can save my butt in short fights. It's not good for long terms. That's why I had to use it in that one, because I figured it would be a fast fight. Anyway, so that is done. And then he'll look over to Marla, if he can see her. Can he see Marla?
I think we're in the same room, so probably.
Yeah, if you didn't leave this room after Demon Boy walked out and we were trying to rattle him.
Yeah, he looks over to them and to Marla and says, Did you find the information that we needed?
Maybe we should discuss it somewhere else.
Yes, we should return as quickly as possible. Where are Darius and the others?
That's an excellent question.
You hear
At
the
this
sirens.
point, you would think that there are in the crowd as the place is leaving. While you're gathering and starting to look for them, we're gonna skip over to the nearest watchtower, which is about a block away from the Colosseum. You're all sitting in a jail cell that you have in common with Mr. Unconscious Cultist. When they realized his life wasn't in danger, they decided not to call on to a medic or anything. They just sat him in the corner. And you're the three of you currently alone with one of the watch, the city watch, that has drawn a chair in front of the bars and is looking at you. Once you're all secured there, just folds his arms and starts to go. All right. Tell me that cultist story of yours.
Oh, well, where to begin with that? I had seen, I had encountered cultists of Asmodeus before in the sewers. I was attacked by them once. And it is from that I learned that they must have some sort of plot going about. Yeah. And, well, circumstances led me to the arena today. And I happened, while scanning the crowd, to have noticed him, he says, gesturing to the unconscious cultist, and his compatriots. I saw that they had their symbols of Asmodeus about them. They tried to hide them, but I was observant today. And I saw that they were chanting something. Normally, why I would suppose anyone chanting in a Colosseum is more doing so in favor of one of the contestants. However, being servants to the Dark Lord as they are, I could only assume that it had some horrifically sinister purpose behind it.
And you see he gives you like this look. Like, yes, of course. Everyone would think that when they encounter a so-called magical cultist in the city sewers.
Well,
What in the world were you doing in the city sewers?
well, I'm rather new to these surface world cities, you see. We don't have much need for them. Sewers down in the deep. I presumed the hatches scattered about the streets simply led to another layer of the city, as it were. You surface dwellers, pitiably, can only move in a handful of directions. It's rather limiting. So I imagined, to compensate, you layered your cities. I was delighted to find a separate street that seemed to be free of traffic at the time, and much more wet.
I love you so much.
Roll a deception, please.
Yeah.
It's the best story ever. Oh, wow.
I've had some exotic folks, but you definitely take the cake, as some would say. All right. So you stumbled onto a group of ritual casters and lucked out surviving it. Well, let's say these are, as you say then. You're remaining in your cell. Let's see if you can be trusted. Henry! And one of the other guards is gonna come by. Get the unconscious one. Don't any of you try to get out. Does anybody try to stop them as they go and retrieve the unconscious cultist?
I'll look at Darius, and if he tries anything, I'll see what I can do.
I'm not going to make a move for it. But I will say, well, sir, if I might speak on behalf of my compatriots here, I'm the only one who assaulted anyone in any manner. And though they were well deserving of it, and my assault may very well have stopped more deaths, I'm the only one any blame might be passed upon.
No, I wouldn't let you hold that honor alone. I transformed into a snake and attempted to grapple one of them. I hold that.
Fine. The cat can leave. And throw him a punch. But be warned. We have our eyes on you. You can depart from here. We have to see the story of this cultists before you go. So TeaLeaf, you're basically allowed to leave the cell, and you're kind of kicked out of the watch office.
Fuck, now I feel bad. Jesus Christ, I should have said something. Alright. Well, at least I can get the news to everyone else.
So you kind of make your way back to the Colosseum.
Hurriedly.
You'll find very quickly Kag-Ro, Marla, and Cerise, who are looking for the three of you. They have no idea. You've been apprehended, and everybody was kind of scouting, so you could have followed a trail. Like the list of possibilities is near endless.
Okay.
Well, if that's the case, I guess I'm just standing around with Kag-Ro and Marla, and I'm looking around for the others, and kind of like, where the heck are they?
Yes, Kag-Ro is going to look around too, and he's going to talk to anybody who will allow him to, and ask them if they have seen the strange-looking fishman, or a tall cat, strange-looking fishman, or half-orc in robes.
Instead of an answer, you just get a bunch of praises for your fight. Nobody's going to give you any kind of answer. Most of the people have left at this point. The few stragglers behind are there. The kid you've given your costume to looks like he might have actually floated out of the place. But other than that, everything is simple. But you do spot TeaLeaf the moment he enters, unless TeaLeaf is trying to make himself stealthy for a reason or another, and then spots you first and joins with the group. Back to the watch office, they sit the cultist down on a chair, tie his hand behind his back, and they are in front of you, Darius, and Drengarr. And they just take a bucket of cold water and throw it in his face. Not the bucket, the water, obviously. And you'll just see him snap out of it and give several moans and groans of pain as he comes to. Go ahead. Ask him something.
That's very well. You, sir, a servant of the Lord of Light. What cause were you at the arena to support? What was the chanting for?
You can't arrest me. Worship of Asmodeus is not illegal. It was simply a prayer that he would favor us so that our bids would elevate our chosen to win the match.
Not illegal? Surely you jest. They can't allow such despicable practices up here.
Yeah, the watch stands up. Nobody likes it, but No, worshipping Asmodeus is not illegal as long as certain lines aren't crossed. Something you do, your own private little room, you send a little prayer, no ritual, bleeding, killing, sacrificing, none of the weird, aggressive, magical stuff. You start throwing fireballs, though, we have another story on our hand. That's illegal. As far as I know, you're not registered. You see the cultist goes pale for a minute.
I'll add in behind. My art, it was just a prayer. I was attacked by other members of your cult earlier. Same symbols and everything.
Yes, I even exorcised a demon of Asmodeus.
Are you adding that fact for an intimidation factor?
Yeah, I can do that. That's a yes for adding it.
Nope, I don't see it. Sorry.
Oh, you want me to actually roll? Okay, I thought you were like...
Oh, yeah, sorry. I thought you were rolling it. My bad.
My rolls today are just very terrible.
You see it has some effectiveness, but it's almost like you just peel the first layer. And he'll just give you a look, like if he's trying to gauge how truthful you are. It's like, you wouldn't be able to do such a
And
thing.
yet I did.
They can't be unsummoned. They're not
No.
living.
But they can be banished.
He just frowns in confusion, and suddenly you see a blade gets under his jaw, right on the jugular. The City Watch. You see, you just confessed to summoning a devil. Now that's very illegal. And he turns to the both of you. Any other information is private. None of you are privy to it. Henry and the other City Watch guard will take his keys and unlock it. You're both free to go. No charges will be pressed.
Thank you.
Indeed. I'm glad you understand that our altercation was only with the intention of saving lives. I fear this won't be the end of them, however. The ones that I found in the sewers were definitely preparing some sort of summoning. I could show you to where they had attempted it, however, I know not if there would be any sign of them left.
The second City Watch will beckon you to a map of the sewers to see if you can point to the way.
That would be a good question if I could.
You can roll a history check or a survival. Either or would work. You go with your instincts. You can see with how it matches the city where you enter, that part you got. And you don't do it from memory, but more from looking at the map, and you've navigated places before. The typical twists and turns, you're just able to follow where it would guide. So you're using basically instinctual orientation to find your way, and you find the place that has the set of room that fits what you've seen, and you point to that area. Point them to that odd little lair thing. You see that part of it seems to be missing, but you assuredly point to that direction. The guards give you their thanks, and they said you've added help. Now you're lucky not to have any punishment for throwing in a brawl in the middle of such an event. I missed the end of the fight.
My apologies. I'm sure it was, you missed quite a bit from that. I hear it was I hear the contestants were very popular. However, I do hope that what I've offered here will be of some use. And I assure you, officer, that I will make sure to keep my hands clean from here on out.
Good. I prefer to hear that. Now you and your friend, be gone.
And with that, I will bow to them and leave, supposing Drengarr does the same.
Does Drengarr follow?
Green?
Oh, that's weird.
You
Y'all
did,
couldn't
Jim.
hear me. I said, yeah, I'd nod and leave.
All right. As you depart, you just hear as the city watch is starting. Well, now we need more information. You and I will have a talk. And on that is the end of the conversation you hear, and you find yourself in the street with the Colosseum clear in sight. I imagine by this point the goal is to reunite the full team, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
pretty much.
We were about to be on our way to go find them. TeaLeaf was going to bring us over to where they were being kept.
So you'd
Yeah,
basically all meet yourselves at the entrance of the Colosseum. Sorry, I think it was Cerise trying to talk. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say I think I missed what it was that T had actually told us about what happened.
It's in the Roll20 chat.
Yeah, we were chatting.
Oh, sorry. Okay, and then I think Ruth was trying to say something.
Oh, I was gonna try to sneak out earlier and check the arena for the amulet.
You can do an investigation.
Why can't I roll like this all the time?
So as you were scanning the place, you heard the speech. You didn't see what was happening from in there very well, but the sunlight catches the metal just at the right angle and gives that shine and the center stage, and you're able to go and collect the amulet that Kag-Ro dropped.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right, so everybody regroups basically at the entrance of the Colosseum. Marla joins like just a minute later. How do you greet each other?
T sees Darius and Drengarr coming over the horizon. Oh, you guys are okay. What happened? How are you free?
T, it's good to see you again. Well, we simply told them the truth. Well, most of the truth, at least. As to our encounters with the cultists. I even pointed out in this where in the sewers on a map we had encountered them last.
And they let you go?
Indeed, we were defending ourselves from illegal magic users. Simply that. Though they did warn that we usually probably will not be let off so easily. However, as the cultist had admitted to the summoning of a demon, They found that our assaulting them probably had good reason.
Oh dear.
Well, thankfully that guy was an idiot and admitted to it. Otherwise, you two might not have escaped so easily.
I am sure that it was the skill and proficiency with words that Darius and Drengarr possess. Well done, being free, and I hear that the cultist that you took care of, that's quite good. Well, on my end, I won the match. Well, we won the match.
I was about to ask. It's marvelous to hear, but aren't you a target now?
Just as an interjection, by the way, several of you may notice, Marla, Cerise, and Kag-Ro, that Darius looks a little cooked.
Cooked?
It smells delicious, by the way.
Oh, right. Yeah, I was about to have Cerise actually ask if he was hurt, but if he looks burnt, Cerise is gonna be like, oh my goodness, what happened to you? I mean, what did they do to you?
Well, as said, we were defending ourselves from illegal magic use.
So it wasn't a demon
Well-
in the stove this time.
No, it was a group of demon worshippers in the stands.
Mostly the same thing. Yes, you should probably get repaired up. We are going to have a lot less time soon, as I may have also indirectly made us a target by going against the Zentarim's plans.
Yes, I had feared as much. I don't suppose you can do something about the burns, Cerise. If I go
Of
anywhere
course.
on my own, I imagine I would be unsafe now.
No, just hold still a moment. Let me look at this.
Yeah, be careful. That's still tinder. And might flake off, actually. Just lightly, please.
She'll touch it super gently as well as she can and pray to Yondalla to restore his poor fishy flesh. You get 6 points.
And I have the same amount of health I had at level 1.
You see some of his color return to its more normal blue tinge, though there's a bit of a marbling there of a little bit charred pattern, especially at the point of impact of each of the fireballs. Your clothes are still very tattered, and you are not that covered at this point. You look like someone who's, well, you make an urchin looks fashionable.
Does Drengarr look wounded at all?
No. Drengarr is completely fine.
Alright.
Well,
Um,
it hurts less to walk now, so I can make it
It's-
wherever we need.
it's worse than I thought. Goodness. What's half your hit point maximum, Jake?
Well, that would be about... Yeah, I'm pretty much at my hit point maximum. So 11.
Oh, like you're not missing a lot more hit points, is what?
Oh, no. I need 11 more to be at full. Or 12 more to be at full, technically.
You're already at half your health right now.
Yes.
Okay. In that case, she says, hang on, what do I say? Oh, this time she gets out the actual holy symbol that she wears inside her clothes that isn't just the embroidery on her apron that's already showing. And does kind of a little bit of a longer prayer and gives you, let's see, what is half your hit point maximum then? You said 11?
Mhm.
Alright, I'll give you 11 more.
Oh, significantly better. Thank you, Cerise.
Drengarr
Wait,
perks
hold
up
the
at
boat.
this.
Hold the boat. I can only give you 10 because that's 5 times my cleric level. Never. Sorry.
He immediately looks much better. You wouldn't even be able to spot the injuries at this point. They're basically bruises at the impact of the fireballs, and that's all. Might just look like an exotic color, purplish color, where the scaling would be. The scales would be at this point.
Drengarr perks up at your holy symbol and your prayer. Do the great animal spirits not mean anything here?
What do you mean?
Well, in the tribes we worship grooms as well as the great animal spirits, Fae, masquerading as animals, giving us guidance. Yet, in your customs, it seems you worship other deities, and they're more restorative, if that is the best word for me to choose.
Oh.
Our healing is more primal, natural. Yours, gifted by gods.
Well, Yondalla's all about healing and providing and taking care of people, so.
And food.
And food, yes.
Who's this Yondalla?
Well, she's a halfling goddess. Sort of motherly, I suppose.
Ah, I see. Interesting. Do your gods not smite at you if you do not do their will?
Well, Yondalla's not one of the very smitey ones, though I suppose if I started doing things that went against her, she might. There are smitier gods, but they don't tend to be, we don't really have many that are like that. Humans have the smitier ones.
I see. I'm curious how you have survived. Your people have survived this long without much war being waged, if any.
The Hinds prefer to solve our problems in happier ways.
Cerise nods at what Marla said.
I see.
Like food and song and stories.
I see. It is completely unlike the tribes. This civilization worries me.
So you're all able to continue and chat as you're walking down the streets heading back home. On your way, you pass a now torn down pie shop. The remaining wood piles are being carted out, and the land is being completely flattened.
We should check this out while we're here.
Cerise just kind of stops in the middle of the road and just kind of stares at.
TeaLeaf does the same, but he looks fucking furious instead of sad.
I take out the note that I stole from the Great Snake, and I point out that the address is on the paper, and there's something about a vault, and this is important to the Snake clan, and so we should double check that we didn't leave anything here just in case.
You know, that makes a lot of sense now that I think about it. We've been having trouble, and I was wondering if they were late at fixing the matches and that sort of thing. Clearly they are. Where did you get that?
I stole it from a stupid tiefling.
Oh, yes, the snake. He's quite the rookie. Perhaps he has some way in the career, but I highly doubt it if he is under the thumb of the snake people. Now, we should indeed check this place out, though I imagine we should do it when we're not an obvious sight.
Yes, perhaps. Well, I'm sorry, I don't rightly understand what... They're building a vault here?
What is this? What's the snake?
Perhaps there's a vault under it.
Can you remind me what the note said that I took?
You mean like everything that it mentioned? First of all, you see a schedule of fights for the Great Snake. The title on the paper is clear. It's goal, like the aim, goal, 2 dots, and then it says Stone of Galore. Then there's a
Very
schedule, and estimates of what they can earn per fight, what they need to earn. And they need, like, if you actually tally up, you estimate they need over 10,000 gold pieces for whatever they're trying to do. Then they have Cerise's pie shop address with basically the word vault. And there's other addresses. You see 3 other addresses on there. Not much hint to that.
It's rather, and then I show the note to everyone else, and then I say it's rather vague, but it suggests that there is or will be a vault here or something.
Well, it's good information for us, though. Unfortunately, there aren't any signatures or any proof that this is the wrongdoings of those snake folks. But we can investigate ourselves. By the way, is there an adventurers guild?
Take it off a snake.
Why, yes, you did, but he was actually a tiefling.
But he was working with the snakes.
He's also wearing a snake. Not a very good costume choice, to be quite honest.
It just made me want to put an arrow in him. Just hearing this description.
Well, I doubt he'll be up and about anytime soon. I did quite the number on him. I believe I probably would have killed him if I had not been careful. He was far frailer than I expected.
A real fight, then? Didn't you say most of those are... And he lowers his voice for this in case anyone actually is, around on the street. Didn't you say they're usually faked?
Yes, and that was my entire purpose. This fight that I was going to have, I was supposed to lose. Instead, now there are a bunch of nobles who are losing money, and the Zentarum, who have been trying to rig the fights and possibly use it to pay for this note of theirs, this vault of theirs, are now going to be indebted as opposed to very wealthy. The fall of the Unchained Devil would have been very profitable for them. It will be hard for them to make up the money that they have lost.
Well, it does please me greatly to hear that, at very least.
But as I said, they're most likely going to come after us. I told Garth to go into hiding. However, we don't have that luxury.
Unfortunately, so. What is our plan, then?
Well, I actually support Marla's idea. We should probably check out the site of Cerise's former bakery. It may be a depressing trip down memory lane, but perhaps there'll be clues as to if there is a vault there or they intend on constructing a vault there.
I can get behind that, yeah.
I also suggest that the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and perhaps we should see if we can work with the group of people who are working against the Zentarum.
And who would that be?
I'm not
main
working with worshippers of Asmodeus, if that's what you're suggesting.
Oh no. Goodness, how do I say this without saying that thieves guild?
The Cult of the Yellow Eyes?
Yes, the Cult of the Yellow Eyes.
So you wish to trade one cult for another. That doesn't seem very wise. And he looks over to Darius for guidance.
They're nice people.
Well, what do they worship then? Or who, really? Because,
Themselves.
well, that's a rather strange god. I've never heard of that one.
And how do you know all this?
I've run into them throughout my career.
Are they deeply involved in caravans?
Not in the way that you mean.
You know, you do seem to dodge questions a lot whenever it comes to your caravan work.
I work for a caravan and I do merchanty things and I procure items and I sell those items for a fee.
Roll a deception and Darius roll an insight.
Well, that seems very nice. Did you pick up stealing skills while working on the caravans? You did say you stole the note directly from the snake. That must have been an impressive feat. Very dexterous hands.
It wasn't very difficult. He's not very good at hiding things.
By the way, anyone else who is suspicious is permitted to roll an insight too.
Kag-Ro is always
All right.
suspicious of Marla.
Everyone is suspicion her. Oh my.
Cat is calling you out on your bullshit.
I love that Cerise failed. She's just like, yeah, of course she does merchanty things. It's very halflingy.
Nothing but normalcy here. T, however, can see clear through that. Well, first of all, you've teamed up before and such. So you know that she has dealing in the more thieving, illegal side of the world. With the 20, you think that there may even be some playing. You can tell she doesn't like the Zentrum. There's a personal dislike of them there. But for all you know, she might be a single, lonely agent that just does this the same way an urchin normally would, though she is not, because, she has a family. Whether you reveal this or not to the others, that is entirely up to you.
TeaLeaf is in a bad mood. He's going to walk up to Marla and kind of kneel down on one knee really close to her face. For someone who does this for a living, you can be remarkably bad at lying.
What do you mean? She seems very truthful to me. A little suspicious, but she's always kind of that way.
I will leave it at that. And gets up. And
Marla just kind of laughs like she thinks this is all a great joke.
He kind of stares daggers at her. Can I pull you aside for a moment?
Okay.
He brings her over towards the wreckage of what was once Cerise's prize shop and is looming over her. I don't know who you're trying to fool or why you are trying to fool us, But we are a team, and we have enemies now. There is no use in hiding things.
They know my mother. Do you know what my mother would do if she knows what I do? My mother.
Huh?
Your mother does not have to know anything. But we kill people. We fight. All the time, Marla. We need your cooperation. We can't...
I am cooperating.
We don't know
However,
what you do, Marla.
I procure items and I sell them for a fee.
Okay. I'm not going to fight with you right now. But I want you to... He just gets up and storms off.
Fine!
Fine.
Fine.
He storms off and you yell fine after him? That's what we're seeing right
Yes.
Yeah, he looks really pissed off.
But not here.
I am thrilled to hear that. He adds, he sounds a little happy, but still really...
And none of this gets back to my mother, or you will pay for it.
I have done things I wouldn't want certain other people to know. I think the secret is safe with us.
Why are you so angry, T? You should be happy. It's a good day. We did win. Today was a victory. No one went to prison.
I want you to take one look behind me and see why I might be a little upset at them.
And because she yells fine far too loudly. Seems a rather
Darius is
strange
going-
thing.
I am standing in front of the wreckage of one of my favorite places on this earth. I just got arrested for the first time in my life. I am not having a good day.
But it's my favorite places on earth, yes, but we have the cook. She lives with us.
That is true.
Why do you worry so much about the place? As I said before, it is only a place. And the new place, it is our place, not just a single place owned by one person. It is our family that lives there now.
I'm sorry, I'm a homey kind of cat. I miss the place so bad is all.
Perhaps we can make you a bed and sort of lace it with the smell of pies from Cerise's shop. Would that help?
He kind of punches him playfully in the gut. Okay, no need to be an asshole.
Well, then cheer up. It's a good day.
He forces a smile. All right.
Cats are
Sorry.
territorial and love routine. Did you not?
I've never had a cat, to be honest.
Oh,
And kind of hard to carry a pet when you live mostly in rooms. I was thinking of getting something at some point, but now that we have our own space, but I haven't decided what I want yet. Anyway, we should probably go somewhere where we can speak more privately, since we do have to make plans for the future.
You know, Darius interjects while looking into the gutted wreck of the shop. Those people that bought this place, those nobles, I don't suppose you think they may have bet on the match as well? If that's the case, if they were as
I
corrupt
think-
as...
They did.
Well, if they were as corrupt as all the others that you mentioned, it's possible they've just lost a vast sum of... Perhaps they'll have to look to selling soon. Cheap, maybe.
I don't think it would bankrupt them. Most of these folks are rather clever about the way they place their bets. They never put too much on it, because if they do, then it gives away the fact that the matches might be fixed, and it becomes a little bit suspicious when they win too often.
Oh, true enough, I'm sure, but It's always possible, I suppose, that they might have to close down one venture. I imagine they would have their hands in quite a few pies. Just a hope, I suppose.
Well, I suppose that it's lucky then that Cerise has the money. It will slow them down, at least.
As you're conversating on the rest of the way home, you realize the idea of investigating the pie shop at the moment is not the best, as there is a lot of workers working on clearing the wreckage, and they don't allow passers-by. City Watch are there to assist if they need it. The reason they do this has a sound reason for City Watch. It is for the safety of the population. That type of wreckage could easily cause for injuries for people. You're able to make it back to Trollskull Manor, where you can heal the rest of the way, rest, absorb what has happened today. Then you can plan on to what you will do from then on. If you wish to go and investigate the wreckage of the spy shop when it's less busy, that is definitely something you can plan on the coming days. Tomorrow will be green grass, announcing the very beginning of summer. People have already celebratory decorations. There's flowers everywhere. And right now you're able to take some of that rest. And as you're back home, unwinding, possibly discussing, we will end the game here. And with a bonus, you are now all level 3.
Nice.
Yes!
Also, finally got around to the main plot of the game.
Right? Also that.
We did it. You
Win.
guys can actually be, subclasses.
I can finally become a different type of paladin.
Nice.
An anti-paladin.
Oh, not again. No. You're always an anti-paladin.
Not this time, though.
I see Kag-Ro's constitution is not improving.
Wish I had a luck die.
Question: how the fuck does one roll for hit dice again?
Just open
You
it.
roll
Nice.
it now.
To what?
Yeah, it's right
Oh, I
under
see, I
your
see.
temporary. Yep. Yay! A 7.
Oh, baby!
Damn.
And of course.
Hey, you want to trade? You can have my 3.
Yeah.
Actually, that puts you on the same health, the two of you now.
That is so ridiculous.
Wait, what?
He was 15 plus 3, and I was 13 plus 5, so now we're both 18. The 8-foot-tall Goliath and the 3.5-foot-tall
What
Lady
is
Hell.
Schneckledorf?
Oh, wait, how much HP does Darius have? He's our main tank.
I have 29.
Holy
Okay.
shit, I have 1 HP less than you.
Jesus,
Oh,
man.
wow.
I
Y'all
guess.
are eating it all.
Direct all damage your way.
Yep,
Okay.
you guys can have it.
Yeah, the ranger
the
who's
damage.
supposed to be pot-shotting people from the back is the second tank.
Yeah, we just need to get you some plate mail now.
Take
Damn
that
it.
pain. Keep